So now Near has a recommendation for that, and he calls it like this. You start putting up like little lights and little signals to say, "Hey, I'm trying to focus. Leave me alone." He has this thing in the physical copy of the book. So you cut that out and you fold it up, and it turns into like some sort of a "Hey, leave me alone" signal. So,
Nice.
but they
See, why can't you just say, I'm fucking busy?
well, and that's what when I was working in a lot of the open office stuff. That's what I would end up doing and telling people. It's like, "Hey, leave me
Like a
alone.
sign.
I'm trying to focus." Yeah,
Kiss my butt. I'm
yeah,
busy.
exactly.
Here's my schedule. Use my QR code for my schedule.
Yep. But the,
And there would be that webpage that says, kiss my butt. I'm busy.
yeah. But
It's got to
like
be a name for that.
that's again like he talks about this in the book, and that's treating the symptom. Like that is treating the symptom, and it's not actually fixing the disease. And the disease goes back to, like I said, that the idea of the open office concept. And it's like that's the disease. The disease is that we are creating an environment in which distractions occur and can too easily occur. And what we need to do is actually is create is get rid of that environment, because he talks about that later in the book
Yeah,
is
let's
creating
go
good
ahead and go there.
environments.
Just roll with it,
No,
right?
let's keep
I'm
because these
focused.
the
You opened
yeah these
a
other
big old can of.
go for it.
You opened a big can on that.
It is,
You ran down this one.
but because it's one of those things where I get on my like I really it's just it frustrates me to no end, because I just that's where I'm at.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's like go what
So I think it's a great solution if your people are basically either like code monkeys or if they're like telemarketers. I don't so much like in telemarketers because it's too loud, anyways.
oh
And
absolutely
I've seen those workspaces, and
yeah
nobody likes listening to those calls, and I
no
cannot imagine being on those calls is very fun either.
or
But
and very so oftentimes like when I am talking to somebody on the phone on a help center, I can hear all of the stuff going
yeah,
on
you
in the
hear everybody
background,
else going around. Yeah, they're not
and I
used
hate it.
the nice microphones and the technology to do that. It's cheap, right? So
Yeah.
like there's a progression, right? There's the CEO who has a private office
Hmm.
and the vice president probably,
Hmm.
and then you have offices for your skilled labor and your creatives, right? And then
Yeah.
you have open offices for your janitors and your bathrooms, and then you have your parking lot.
Yeah.
So and as you go and evolve your office to look more like a parking lot, the next stage is to outsource it to other countries,
It's true.
and that's the value that you're looking from that productivity, right? So there's an evolution to it, and I
Yep.
think you should respect that, Mr. Allen.
Yeah, sure. You're like, mm.
I definitely want to run a commodity business where I could basically put my people in the parking lot and they would be just as efficient.
I have a funny story about that, and I'll tell it to you later.
Nice. Looking forward to that.
Yeah, I'm writing this down.
I'm gonna write that one down. So yeah, I think I hopefully captured the value of open office in that expression.
Yes. Sure.
Um,
Fine.
Corporate
Whatever.
culture is it's a hard thing to do, right? And making people feel valued is another hard thing to do.
Yeah,
So
it
there
is.
is way. I have had a lot of fun with small groups, like squad size groups, working together at a table.
Yeah.
Um, it, they have to be working on the same project and
Yep.
or similar, right? There's just got to be a synergy to it,
Yep.
and it tends to make them kind of work really close together.
Yep.
But I couldn't put like three groups in one room that are very very different. It just becomes chaos and it loses the camaraderie. So there's ways to also build that relationship between the employees and or contractors or whatever, right? To me
Mm-hmm.
nowadays, I almost don't see so much care between employees or contractors.
Mm-hmm.
And I know I'm wrong in a lot of ways. My current opinion is that there's the 80-20 rule, right?
Yep.
80% of your work is done by 20%, and that
Yes.
20% are called contractors.
I will tell you, like, there is animosity between full time people and contractors, and the the
Any shit. It's
experience.
inside versus out.
Yeah, the experiences that I've had is it's a mixed bag of things. Where so at one company that I was working at, we had I was the contractor, and the company hired internal developers, and the internal developers were shit,
Mm-hmm.
just like the absolute worst people.
And they knew that's why they brought in a contractor.
Yes, yes, and then I've been in a position where I am the employee, and we brought in contractors, and the contractors were shit,
Yeah.
and the employees were amazing. Um,
Yeah.
and
You brought them in as supplemental work, labor.
yeah, yeah,
Yep. Yeah. So, I
and
mean,
like I said, it's a
you can hire parking lot guys.
yep. And the thing is, like I said, it's a mixed bag, and a lot of it all comes down to how much do you care. In each of those cases, it was the people who performed the best were the ones who cared the most, and that's, I think, the most important aspect of it. At least maybe one of the. Okay, moving on. Email. How many times are you distracted by email a day, Phil?
I'm not
Good.
at all. In fact, people are like, I sent you an email last week. I'm like, yeah, that's cool.
Yep.
I said, you have my phone number, you have my messaging service, and you have our primary communication, which is whatever, right? Slack
Yep.
or whatever. And that's where you get a hold of me.
Yep.
And as I said before, if you send me an email, send me a message, let me know to check for the email.
I'm with you. I found the chapter on email. I thought it was good, but at the same time, I'm also like, yeah. In my world, in what I do, we only send the absolute most important stuff via email. Very specifically, in my world, it's a legal issue. So if we send something via email, we know we're doing it because we're creating a paper trail, and so it's an important. That's why it's important for us.
Okay.
But
That's cool.
a lot of our communication doesn't happen via email anymore.
Mm-hmm.
It happens via Slack.
It became too crowded.
Yep, and
Well,
it's too. Go
now
ahead.
notifications are getting too aggressive.
It's
And it's
true.
going on the other side. Emails making a little bit of rebound.
Yeah.
If you want real attention from me, send me a letter.
Yep. That's true. Um, yeah. Absolutely. Send me a letter. I would love that. That'd be beautiful. Beautiful.
Beautiful. Preferably
So
with some string in there.
So what we were talking, or what you and I were talking about, was like how people should be getting a hold of people, and how they do now is mainly Slack or whatever group
Slack,
chat.
Discord, whatever. Yeah,
Yeah,
sometimes Skype.
yeah, and a lot of it is like that's very good. I like it. I think sending things via Slack is far better than anything else, because you can create some really good nonlinear discussions, and you can have multiple discussions going on at the same time.
I like it as long as you don't turn it into the water cooler.
Um, I would agree and disagree at the same time, if that makes sense.
You
Uh,
are a bit of a social butterfly, so I appreciate that.
yeah. I would say for when you have a fully remote team, you should have
A bullshit
channels.
channel.
Yes. Yep. You
Yep,
should have
that's
channels
different.
in your. Yep.
And you
Yep.
know that's different, honey.
Well, that's why I'm saying I agree and I disagree. So,
Thank you. Yeah, there's always you should have a couple channels that are for. Okay, so here's the debate. It's not. I mean, it's not really a debate. It's a question. I guess corporate culture. Like,
okay.
do you in certain channels allow adult playful conversation,
Oh,
or
that's a good
should you keep
question.
it all ultra PG?
I think that goes back to what you said. It's a corporate culture thing. If you work at a company, so I worked at one company where in our Slack messages we would send. Sorry. Um, we would send each other some of the I wouldn't say raunchiest because they weren't like super raunchy. Like some of the most abusive messages that you could imagine. Like we'd be joking with each other back and forth constantly on Slack.
Yep.
But we had created a culture where that was allowed, and we understood that
A little bit of
was
dark humor is okay.
yes,
It's
yeah,
in the right place.
yep,
Like
and
off chat should be, uh, just to give a kind of description. There could be like off topic
yep,
or water cooler or whatever, right?
yeah.
So,
Like but that was the culture that we had created.
yep.
Now, on the flip side, I have worked at other companies where you do not do that at all under any circumstances anywhere. You
Well,
only like
you've also worked at companies where they do that, but you can't.
yeah, that's true.
So
There
good luck with
that
that one.
there was that too. Like so, let's step back to the one company first. Like where nobody does that, and you only like you find the people that you can joke with, and you just chat with them in direct messages, and that's what you do. But in the public channels of any sort, you keep it very hey, how was your day? How are you doing? That type of thing. Like you keep it very like you don't really joke as much. You keep it PG, as you said.
Yep.
But then, as you also said, like I've been in places where I could like other people could joke back and forth about stuff, but I couldn't make my jokes. Though, like the moment that I make my joke, immediately all hell breaks loose, and people are like freaking out about it. It's like, why are
Which,
you freaking?
if you experience this, just know that's a sign to talk to your labor employee attorney.
Yeah, which I did.
Nice, nice. But I mean, there's easily there's easy ways to confuse conversation, right? I do
Mhm.
it sometimes. I say completely inappropriate stuff
Yep.
often, and I let my guys and girls know that there's not. Well, everybody knows I love them, right? I just straight out, I love my people, so they know
Excuse
ahead.
me.
They know ahead of time to let me know directly and openly if I'm going a little bit over the top.
Yep. Yep.
But
So
there
how do
should be
we
that if
keep?
you're going to have that environment where it's okay to be a little bit awkward or dark or sarcastic or you know goofy. There should be that you should have if you're going to have the bravery to allow that, you should have the bravery to let people be open about when it's uncomfortable.
Yep. You absolutely should. And then when you're going to allow that environment, and somebody's like telling you, "Hey, you're making me uncomfortable," you shouldn't be like you shouldn't freak out about
Yeah,
that.
no, there shouldn't be
as
any freaking out.
as I have
Part of it goes back
experienced.
to is this the right environment for you if you don't like it,
Yep.
and but that should come after a little self introspection if it really was inappropriate.
Yep. Okay. So finishing off the whole thing with chats and stuff, like IL has recommendations and stuff for chat, and a lot of it is just basically, look, if you're trying to focus, turn off your chat notifications or put up a notification saying, "Hey, I'm heads down, leave me alone for the moment." So that's really what it turns into. Meetings. he kind of talks about it. This is kind of one of those things where you need to be you and your team need to sit down and actually have a discussion about, all right, how many meetings do we actually need, and when do we need them? Because very often we've been in those situations where, yeah, this could have been an email or this could have been a Slack message. So
Yep.
and that's just basically it. Then he talks about your desktop. Personally, I never see my desktop anymore. I always have windows open. So I always have one window open at a time, like right in front of me. But if you're the type of person that saves things to your desktop and then you close out all your windows when you log off for the day, it's definitely a really good idea to remove all of those and make it just something nice and clean. So that way you're not being distracted by them. So, and then finally, like
desktop.
What?
Distractible desktops.
Yeah. Whatever. It goes back to the whole idea of cluttered house, cluttered mind, or cluttered desk, cluttered mind. So, and I say that as I look at my desk and it's very cluttered. So, and this is something.
So my desk is perfect.
Yeah,
except
good
for
for
the clutter
you.
I just made.
Good for you. Here's an interesting question because you and I both read a lot of articles online. Do you read them in your browser, or do you like save them to something else?
Interesting question.
Yeah.
So, what I do is I open it up into a separate browser, and while I'm doing something else, I'll tend to have it do a voiceover for me.
Ah, cool.
And I tend not to care about a whole lot of things unless it's really directly involved.
Yeah.
So I don't really have the habit of getting into too many articles. I find the article reading and YouTubing and video games, while all great things to help, change the focus for the mind when you need it, is just a sign that you have too much free time.
That's a good point.
I would say start 2 or 3 more businesses and you'll be fine. You'll have
I used to play video games a lot, and then I just got to a point where it's like, well, wait a second, there's other things that I want to do in my life other than sitting here playing a video game for 5 hours.
Right? To all my buddies out there that love, World of Warcraft and Warcraft and all that stuff, find a girl.
It's true. Find a girl. I will tell you, I'm not, unlike Phil, I'm not anti-video game. I think that they need to, I think it's just something that you need to schedule and you need a time box. You need to sit there and say, I'm only going to play this game for a couple of hours on Saturday, and that's it.
Is this where you learned about time boxing, by the way, or where did you get
this book
concept? Yeah. Where did you learn about the time boxing concept? Because I know you've always been big on it.
I learned about it a long, long time ago. I don't remember. I really don't. I just know that I've learned about it from multiple sources years ago, and as I've just been going through this whole process of continuously learning and stuff, that I've what do you call it? I just see it everywhere now. Everybody's talking about it over and over and over again, and it's important. I think it's a great concept, but I also feel like people can, like everything, they can take it to the extreme. Like, okay, I'm time boxing. I can only do this during this time box. Well, what happens when you like finish up the task early? You need to change your time box.
That's when you can go smoke pot.
There you go. Do that. No, I don't. Maybe. I don't know. Whatever.
I don't like the way it smells that much, but
oh no, neither do I. Gosh, and it's funny. Like I have a bunch of friends who do smoke, and I'm just like, I can't do it. I can't stand it. Okay, so the final thing that he talks about with external stuff is like your social media feeds, and he's like he goes in there and he's like, oh, you should do all of these things that like limit your feed so that you're not getting distracted by it. And I'm just like, no, dude. Just personally, from my view, it's like just recognize that when you go and you open up Facebook, it's a black hole, or same with Instagram, it's a black hole. So again, time box yourself.